Yes, we've been a challenger to the established big tech from the beginning on. We've started in 2017 just creating better tools for translation, which mostly suited better the businesses out in this world, which really rely on high quality, high accuracy, and all of those high value stakes translations that are happening in international communication when you're conducting business across the borders.
Your business is relying on NVIDIA technology, so tapping into the supercomputer technology as you train the models, you come up with ideas, you train the models, and then you move on to inferencing. So just talk us through the sequence here. Is there any point in this journey where you would rely on technology that's not NVIDIA? And is there any point in the journey would you rely on less training chips?
I think, the hardware space is a competitive space, or at least should be at some point in time. And right now, NVIDIA holds a strong foot there in terms of providing the best hardware to train models and also to use them in inference, i.e. for kind of production usage. I think as in any other space, there's going to be disruption there at some point in time, and there's going to be new companies coming up. There is quite a bit of competition coming up, so we might see disruptions there. But at this point in time, actually, we are partnering quite strongly with NVIDIA to build our data centers. And then the other question is really like, how much is the kind of race in model sizes? How much is that going to increase in the future? How much are the models going to become larger and larger as they did over the last years? I think there's an open question in the research community of whether it is actually a law of physics to kind of make those models larger and larger all of the time.
Yeah, and Jarek, I wanted to pick up on the point about AI models. Your technology is based on your own large language models trained on language data to allow this translation to happen. The talk last year was all about these models getting larger and larger and larger. And there were a few conversations I had. One of the common themes through them was that actually large language models effectively will become commoditized. The real value is in that application that comes on top of those. But you still have companies like OpenAI and others who are investing huge amounts of money into training these models. What do you think the future of these AI models actually looks like? Is it smaller, more targeted, or is there a space for these continually growing AI models?
I think it's a combination. I think we're gonna see those large models increasing in capacity over time and time. I think it actually makes sense because we've kind of noticed over the last years maybe that the capabilities of those large language models are maybe not as great as we wanted them to be, and this is why kind of specialized models come into play. But we're gonna see a development in both areas of those, and I think we're gonna see this ping pong of specialized models getting better, and then also large scale models which are kind of general purpose, also increasing their capacities.
Do you expect some of those sort of AI model companies to fold pretty soon? There's so many of them. How can they all survive?
I think there's actually not so many of them. We have kind of quite a few in the world. I think right now that's such a hot topic that all of those companies will be well in the race for now.
I wonder, Jarek, lovely to see you, by the way. I'm fascinated in the money side of things as well. I'm told the window is open for raising money, as it was last year for you. I think your last funding round was in May.
Yeah, last year. Yeah.
Which valued you at around about $2 billion. Are you worried about getting to profitability and further funding rounds in the first half of this year? Because I'm told the second half of the year is going to be the tricky part.
I think AI is still probably the place where most of the money in VC funding still lies and will. I think we haven't yet reached the place where all of the companies in the market have found their applications and the kind of the customers are still looking for new solutions, are still discovering more and more value. So out of that, I think there's going to be still eventually large market there.
Your product and every other product becomes commoditized. That's the history of technology. Getting to some form of profitability before you become a commoditized product and the price you can charge for that product goes down, it's a bit of a race against time. It always is for smallish companies. And it's exciting.
Especially in tech.
Especially for the owners of these companies as well. Tell me about the route to profitability.
I mean, as a company, we've been actually profitable since 2017,
Right.
since 2018. So we have a track of history of being able to deliver AI solutions.
Is that profitable after all costs?
Yeah, throughout some of our years.
So why
yes.
are you still a private company and you haven't gone to market?
I think the scale is probably not there yet, and there's a lot of advantages of being a private company too, and therefore we have shown that there is ways of creating AI solutions that can be profitable, but you have to really very, very carefully find those places where this fits in and where this really doesn't. And I think that is kind of reflective of the overall market right now. There is certain solutions of AI which can be profitable, which can operate very efficiently, but then on a general, like if you're looking at general purpose models, we're definitely not there, and there's still quite a few years probably to get there for the big players.
I want to ask you about trade headwinds. By nature of what you do, very global business, really connecting up and translating every corner of the world. But we know that when we talk about access to chips with a big CHIPS Act in play in the US encompassing all allies, then it has some sort of bearing on expansion plans and where you put those operations. How are you navigating some of those headwinds from trade? Is it genuinely changing the way you do business versus what you might be doing in a different scenario where there's no global borders?
I think the global trade is not going away, and it's like actually strengthening. If we look at the amount of content that is being created out in the world, and that is also being translated and needs translation, we are seeing this rising every year and rising actually pretty heavily. So I think for companies like ours who are kind of strive on the communication and the global communication aspect, that there is a lot of place out there.
Jarek, a lot of focus on AI disruption to not just sort of technology, but also to the workforce as well. I wanted to sense check something with you off a conversation I had last year with the Unbabel CEO, who said he believes that in 3 years humans won't be needed for translation. Is that just hype, or is there some accuracy to this?
That's a vital question for all of AI, and how kind of the interaction of AI and humans is gonna be. I mean, AI translation has been out in the market now for a few years, and we've seen how it's disrupted the industry. The way that human translators and translation agencies and pretty much everybody in this space is working with technology has changed over the years quite a lot, and a lot of the manual processes have been moved over to either a fully automated solution or a solution where the human works alongside of AI. And that's been actually really great for the industry, because the industry has been able to cope with this increasing demand that we've just been talking about through that. And I think this is what we are seeing coming up right now. There's going to be more and more translation demand in the market, and therefore there's going to be this pockets in which you're either going to be handling that with machine translation only, or you're going to have humans alongside of machine translation in kind of different areas, different quality requirements, or maybe even different reliability requirements.
Jarek, what you've explained there takes me to the next question of what sort of productivity gains we can expect, because the market has priced AI into multiple scenarios and come up with the fact that, look, we need to actually extract some value here. When you look at what you can do for businesses, do you have any hard and fast numbers about the sort of productivity gain you can deliver versus having an old-fashioned translation service there, or relying on, say, an existing one like Google Translate?
I mean, the AI in the translation space can cut away a lot of the manual and tedious work. I would say like 90% of the work is going away when you're translating a document, and not doing that on your own, but just kind of checking on the AI if you're having this AI, like human in the loop AI work. So it is a significant fraction of the work that is being helped with by AI.
We're done with that bit of the conversation. Let me ask you another question. Well, I know some of the answers. You were born in Poland.
Yeah.
You're headquartered in Cologne. So your German's great.
It's decent. Yeah.
Your Polish is perfect. Your English is perfect. Any other languages?
That's just those three. I mean, French is tricky. I can maybe.
But let's say you got 3.5 languages. Yeah. You're pretty good. How many of those languages would you have learned if you grew up with your product?
Honestly, all of them.
You know what I'm saying? I'm really worried that we're turning into that that scene where we're all on the spaceship in Wall-E, where we're not doing anything. We're not taxing our brains because AI is going to do everything. I get it's a brilliant product, and I love it, Jarek, but shouldn't we all be terrified of the consequences? Because most kids will not learn a language if they've got something that's going to do it on their phone.
I see your point. Nevertheless, I'm going to make the case for the fact that I would have learned all of those languages, because I wouldn't want to live in Germany as a country without being able to speak the language natively. I don't want to pull out my phone every time I'm in the shop. What if you had something
telling you simultaneously in your ear? Or a chip implanted in you?
It's still not perfect. I'm not going to talk about the chip implanted into me because because that's really science fiction, and I don't know, and I cannot fully imagine how that's gonna work. Yeah. But everything you can accomplish, like, it's amazing in the business context.